Hello, my dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Chow with G&E TV. A day ago, we had a show talking about the bad laws of California that kill business. And today we want to talk more about it, about how bad the laws are and how seriously the laws are killing California. So that's why we named the show Socal That. So when people refer or say SoCal, they refer to Southern California. When I say SoCal, I use the word so as an adjective to describe a situation. It is SoCal that we get killed in many ways. So joining me in the discussion about SoCal That is my friend Joe Gardner, my brother Joe Gardner, and retired police officer, having served the PD for the community for 27 or 28 glorious
27.
years, or 27 glorious years. Now never retired, picking up another job, unpaid, driving Meals on Wheels, and is president of Meals on Wheels of San Gabriel Valley. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jack. It's good to be with your audience again.
Very good. And for several times, you and I talked about the bad laws of California that early releases prisoners out on the street. Some of them, a quite big number of them are felons, yes. Serious felons. And good examples for those are 2 days or 4 days after the release of one certain criminal, a police officer got killed, right? So on and so forth. Now we want to find out how bad the laws are, other laws are. Yesterday with my friend Tom Menzo, we talked about how the bad laws are business-wise, talking about business are regulated out, business are kind of lawed out, business kind of a suit out of California that kill jobs, right? Jobs are killed. And yet, on the other hand, we have a community with lots of criminals on the street, early release onto the street. So we have to bear the burden with our safety, a livelihood, right in the line, right? Which is unfair to us taxpayers. And to those who do not, my audience, I mean, to those who do not have the chance to watch our previous show, though, I want you to please refer to some of the bad laws that kills the community safety, please.
Well, some of the laws that we've talked about, you and I, many times, is about AB 109, the state prison realignment, along with Proposition 47 and now Proposition 57. They are, the state legislature and the governor's office are on this tear to make it many crimes not crimes anymore. And so what that has caused is a lot of criminals to go out on the street, leaving the jail and the prison system. And of course, they go out and wreak havoc at our retail outlets, some of our stores. Stores have been talking about a large increase in shoplifting crimes, and they're powerless to really do anything about it now, since the threshold's been raised to $900 some now instead of the old threshold of $400. So store owners have wreaked some real losses in their merchandise and in their incomes as a direct result of high crime in the areas. So, and we can't say enough about the cost to victims who are burglarized, who have had their cars stolen, who have had people come into their homes and rob them. So it's created a real blight in some areas because of the high crime situation. As we know, everything that crime creates affects each other, all of us, in one way or the other, and that's through the retail, merchandising, business, you know, just a normal everyday life, taking more security measures at home. That costs money to taxpayers.
Of course, yes.
You know, to buy security cameras and alarm systems and the like. So it has a real detrimental effect on
Detrimental is the word. Yeah. Detrimental is the word. Debilitating is probably the outcome, the consequences. And I really have to recognize, and I hope my audience will recognize with me altogether, that Mr. Joe Gardner, even though retired as a police officer, still thinks about community safety like a police officer does. And he has been very vocal, very, very vibrantly vocal with this bad law issue that really kills the community safety and security. Right. We are supposed to have, taxpayers, we're supposed to have a secured public safety because we pay tax, right? Every time they say we need money, they increase our tax, we say, okay, go ahead and increase it because we need your service. And it goes up and up and up and up again until we kind of like run very thin on our patient, right? Our patient being that we want to see a improved public safety and community security, and on the contrary, we say bad laws, we say criminals on the street. Right. We say see bad guys on the street. And they have, Governor Jim Brown had a big excuse saying that we do not have the money, right? We gave you the money. We did give you the money. Correct. So where did the money go? That's the problem. How did you squander the money? How did you allocate the money? That's the question. But the thing is that every time when things go up and it goes to the taxpayers, we're the one to be attacked. That's unfair. Like exactly Mr. Joe Gardner just mentioned, due to the bad law of AB 109, followed by Proposition 47 and by 4057, each goes one step further. 109 released the prisoner early, right? And Proposition 47 uplifts the threshold of coming back again. In the past, you steal something like 400 to 450, you go to jail for shoplifting, for misdemeanor shoplifting, whatever, you go to jail. Now they increase it to 950, so for the same amount of fine, you do not go to jail at all. Right. All right? And then they use the 57 to do the kind of a flash incarceration. What is a flash incarceration in your term, please? It's
like a timeout, I guess.
Timeout, huh? Okay.
Officer might catch somebody in the street doing something wrong. They'll find out that perhaps they're on probation, and they'll call a probation officer who will decide at that point in time that they shouldn't be able to take them in or not. And so what will happen is they'll take that person into custody for a charge for whatever it might have been, a traffic violation or something that they may have done, drunk driving. They'll do a flash incarceration for 10 days, which allows the probation department to assess and see if maybe there's an opportunity to send that prisoner back. Oftentimes it doesn't work. They end up releasing the person maybe on the original reason for the stop, a ticket, a citation, and then they release the other person, the other for the flash incarceration for the other charge of maybe violating probation.
I heard what they are taking into consideration is only the most recent violation.
Right.
Am I right?
That's correct. They don't take into account all the history.
If I raped a free woman previously, and now I stole a piece of bread or whatever, right? And this is the new offense. The latest offense is taken into consideration. The previous offense of raping the free women is not taken into consideration.
No, it isn't. But I'm hoping there's some hope down the road that a new assembly bill that's going through the legislature now will change that, where they'll actually look at the history criminals and say, look, this guy's got
Exactly.
15 pages, he's got all these felonies, you know, maybe we need to make sure that he spends some time in jail or prison. But currently, that's not how the system works.
I have a bigger question. Why up there in Sacramento, there's nobody thinking like what you and I do?
That's a good question, Jack. It's astounding, some of the laws that have come through Sacramento. Number one, that are a drain on taxpayers. They cost the taxpayers a lot of money in new regulation. Businesses have a harder time, you know, meeting their bottom line because of all these regulations that come out. And I think you have to conclude only one thing, that there are legislators and our governor, the people up in Sacramento, are just out of touch. They don't know what you and I go through each and every day down here.
Is it because they are so spoiled, or they're kind of like getting numb because they're sitting there for too long? They hate to move their butt or something like that?
There's probably a combination of all those things. I think term limits, we have term limits in Sacramento for our legislators. But, you know, I think there is a philosophy or a mentality or an ideology that they want to push a certain agenda. And oftentimes that agenda is different than what you and I would think is common sense.
Exactly.
Right?
And to me, if it is even too long when you sit there doing nothing for one term.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
Let alone 3 terms.
Right? Yeah. Well, I mean, 3,000... In the last cycle, there are over 3,000 new laws at the.
That's unfair. That's quite unfair.
Yeah,
right?
You can't.
And I really wonder big time why up there wouldn't be people who think like what he does, what I do, that we care for ourselves. It's a community safety you're talking about. You want to release the prisoners, go ahead, release them to the moon, to Mars, I don't care, but never on the street. Right? When you do on the street, though, you must make sure those people are paid for their time and getting punished fairly, right?
Right.
So, dear friends, my lovely audience, today, once again, with my good friend, Joe Gardner, who I respect a lot, not only because he is a friend of mine, but also, most importantly, for the fact that he has the set of mind that I respect. Right? He has the set of mind to respect, and he has the service mind. He's ready to serve. That I respect a lot. So let's take a very short moment now. When we come back, we'll continue finding how the bad laws are hurting California, killing California so much. That's why we say Socal That. It is Socal that we get killed, all right? My dear audience, we'll be right back. Hello, my dear audiences and lovely friends. Welcome back to the show, Jack Chow on the East-West Show. Today, we have a title, Socal That. It sounds very interesting, sounds very funny, but it has juice in it. I did not create it for nothing because I really thought in profusion about it, because it is really SoCal that we are getting pushed to the corner already. Business-wise, we had Mr. Tom Manzo yesterday on the show talking about how a business is being sued for a $2.5 million a case over almost nothing. And he says, if I had the $2.5 million, I would do something otherwise to enlarge the business, to hire more, to create a job opportunities, so on and so forth. And yet, I have to put up with a fight because I want to survive. Otherwise, I'm dead. With my friend, Mr. Joe Gardner, we're talking about bad laws with the prison early release in accordance with the prison alignment program, whatever so-called. A beautiful name of it. Anyway, I don't know. We are touching base about our California, our community, our safety. Mr. Joe Gardner has served in Santa Monica PD for 27 glorious years. After retirement, he never take a risk. He picked up another job which is unpaid, which is never paying, the Meals on Wheels of San Gabriel Valley. Yet he still thinks in the police officer way, talking about he's worried about California community safety with the fact that so many prisoners early released out on straight. Some of them are serious felons. They are murderers. They're killers, or rapists, so on and so forth, like that. A question, big question for you. Are you running office again?
No, I don't plan to.
Please do.
Sometimes I get that from a lot of people that I know
Yeah,
would
please
like
do.
me to run. I only ran for office before because I had a heart to serve my community. I think even more so we need good people in office that will carry the message.
If we needed you back then, we need you more now.
Yeah.
Because with the bad laws on the street, bad laws hanging, we need you even more.
Yeah.
Please
Well,
think.
thank you.
Please think twice, and maybe 3 times, right? So sometime, when I'm saying that is because that we really want to change the culture of our legislature, change our culture of legislature into the kind of culture that cares about the community.
Absolutely.
Not caring only about being politically right. Okay, here's the deal. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
All right, please. With you, I'm kind of like taking the total freedom of saying, because I have somebody correct me from whatever professional point of view. All right, now. It is the federal court decided that California has a overpopulation in jail, right? It is about 13%. The last I remembered was about 13% over.
Right.
So, regardless of money or not, regardless of a jail facility or not, you have to release it 13%. And now the ball is kicked to California. California says, okay, we don't have the money, we don't have the jail, okay, let's release them. And then they release them out, say, give it to the county, to the city. The city says, no, I'm not obligated. The county says, I don't have any space. And then, well, it goes on the street. So that's why we see the criminals on the street. That's why.
Right.
Am I right, roughly? This
Well,
is
yeah,
the picture?
I think you followed kind of the timeline or the way things work.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, the governor and the legislators could have made a different conclusion. They could have decided to build more prisons to lessen the overcrowding,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But they chose not to do that. They chose to shift the burden down to the local cities, to the Los Angeles County Jail, for example, that's already overcrowded. You know, the state could have made a decision, the Department of Corrections, along with the governor, to decide to build some more facilities to accommodate the overcrowding. It's not that this came upon them right away and, you know, they opened the door and we have this problem. No, they've known about it for many years. They should have been forecasting and saying, you know, our population in our prisons are going
exactly
up.
right.
Maybe we should build some more facilities.
Exactly right. And to my take, if you really want to be politically right, though, you better prepare yourself before something happens.
Right.
In Chinese, we have a saying, prepare yourself for rainy days before the rain. Right?
Absolutely.
You don't want to go buy an umbrella in the rain. So you buy a rain waiting for some rain to come, something like that.
And it's very appropriate for California because right now we're coming out of a drought, right? But we know it's very hot. Today is going to be in the hundreds here in the East San Gabriel Valley. But yet they still don't have a plan to store water up in the northern part of the state.
The
water is washing out the San Francisco Bay
exactly.
because they haven't planned. They haven't
Last
forecasted.
time I was with Mr. Manning and Mr. Zampiello, They're both from California Water Authority. Is talking about that exactly what you said.
Right.
And right now we're in the drought, and then we got to prepare how we want to deal with the drainage in a flooding situation, right? Something like that.
Absolutely.
Now, back to my point. Point was that if they really truly want to be politically right, they better prepare themselves before something happens. Yeah. Like 10 years ago, like 15 years ago, like 20 years ago, they would have thought about enlarge their prison system because the population increases. You have a certain rate of criminality. For example, you have 3% of criminality, and then you have to go along with the 3% as always, like that, right? So they want to prepare them. Now, number one, they failed to prepare themselves at the right time, and when the crisis comes, when the crisis hit, well, get going straight.
I even look at the bigger picture because you talk about being prepared. The state is always looking for money to do whatever, right? To take care of our schools or our highways or what have you. But yet at the same time, they are creating laws that undermine the ability to create commerce, build the economy in the state of California to generate more revenue.
Exactly. That's exactly what Tom talking about yesterday.
Exactly.
Right? He hires 193 employees doing the door frames, a big manufacturer. And he is with Timely Frame or something. That's the name of the business. Right? 193 employees, that's lots of job opportunities.
Absolutely.
That's a lot of income revenues, right? And now he has to semi-shut down his business to face the lawsuit. And you know what exactly the lawsuit was? Almost a joke. Almost a joke. You're talking about in California, there's a law called the PAGA, P-A-G-A, Private Attorney General Act. PAGA. In the law, there is one sector saying that every worker deserves to eat lunch within 5 hours of time lapse. If you eat lunch at 5:30, you're violating, the employer violating the law, the quote-unquote law. What happens with him is that they have different shifts. They run different shifts. And the folks there, working there, prefer eating together because they were kind of so close to each other. They've been working along with the business for so many years. They get to know like almost a family, right? And then you get off, let's say 2:30. He or she gets off at 1. The one gets off 1:30 at 1, wanted to wait for the one gets off at 2 so that they eat together. By doing that, it is delayed, the lunch is delayed. All right. For a business owner to allow that happen, he violated the 5-hour law.
Oh, goodness. Jeez.
All right. Let's take a short moment out. When we come back, we'll talk about the poor Tom, what poor Tom is facing. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Hello, my lovely audience, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the East-West Show. Once again, we're getting very serious. I'm a serious guy. I seldom joke. When I do joke, I joke big ones. Like today, we want to call our show, it is Socal That. It is Socal that we get almost killed. It is Socal that we are almost being killed at this very moment, okay? Talking about the bad laws, they're kind of get ourselves, our taxpayers, surrounded from all directions. On one hand, you're talking about the bad laws that gives you so many criminals on the street, and on the other, the bad laws are tightening you, prevent you from creating business, creating more opportunities. I gave Joe and my audience Tom's example. Mr. Tom Manzo, a business owner for the door frames, talking about his 190 employees, due to a fact, which is a very kind of like a humane fact, right? He violated the quote-unquote law, PAGA law. So for that, Joe, he's facing a lawsuit of $1.5 million in lawsuit itself, in paying out compensation thing, right? And the legal fees, attorney fees, processing fees, another $1 million, altogether $2.5 million.
Wow.
For a business that hires 193 employees, $2.5 million is a big chunk.
It is huge.
It's a big chunk. All right.
Now
So,
he's faced with closing part of his business down.
yeah, he has to be semi-closed to run halfway in order to, he says, time, efforts, and money, everything, to deal with the lawsuit. And he is such a brave guy. Oh, I adore him for doing that. He says, I determined to fight. I'll fight till my death, right? Yeah. I don't deserve to be sued. I have been working so hard. I have been creating jobs for so many that I deserve to be awarded rather than punished.
And it's a good message for your audience out there, because they have to fight as well. They are voters. They are people that can change the face of their communities by being those people that will fight against the wrongs that their government does. So.
And then I blame on you, because you have to run. You have to run an office. You have to get into the fight. I'm really not picking up for you. I'm really thinking about now that you run one time, right? Nobody succeeds the first time, or seldom people succeed the first time. I want you to continue to run. There are open seats over there. Yeah. There are many open seats over there. Go ahead and run. Tell them, I will bring you, Joe Gardner, will bring a set of a new concept to the legislature. We're talking about why we release those bad guys on the street. Yeah. If they say no money, and we will probably look at the pot into the pot, find out where the money we gave you, where did the money go?
Right. We have to restore some common sense to our government.
It is common sense, right? And then for the PAGA law, there's the ADA laws. Right. How much do you know about ADA laws?
Oh, I spoke to a woman when I was running through this to the assembly who was having she owned a bar, right, in town, and she had a lawsuit against her business because someone had gone in there who noticed that maybe the mirror was a little too low. It was the accessibility laws for handicapped people. Okay. And so next thing you know, she's getting a lawsuit for this minor thing having to do with the mirror or something, having the sink a little too low or a little too high for someone who's disabled. So she was willing to fix it, but now she has all this trouble of having to go to court. She's very concerned about her business of bars, not making all that much money. And she's faced with all these attorney fees. And, she was at the point of tears when I talked to her about this. Because she thought, why did they do this to me? She was...
The worst part is that most of the business owners, when encountered in a situation like that, they chose to not fight. Right. Because, like in Tom's case, Tom is an exception. Says, well, I will bet everything in the pot and I will fight till the end, till my death. Right? Okay, now, most people will think, oh my God, if I put up $2.5 million, I would have done something else. Okay, I go compromise with them. Say, hey, how about $1 million? Yeah. How about $500,000, something like that. They capitulated into the situation, and by and by, this situation kind of get the legislator spoiled, and the legislator in turn creates more crazy laws. I'll give you an example. Part of the ADA laws, right? A business owner, restaurant owner, Mr. David Houston, a friend of mine, right? He had one situation that one day a customer sits there, right, put his chihuahua or some kind of a dog on the table. And then it says that, well, why don't you move to a seat elsewhere rather than on the table, because somebody else will still want to use the table after you're done, like that. And then, in anger, this gentleman rose and went. About some time later, received a letter, he was sued because that was a service dog.
Right.
The guy was disabled.
That's a new one.
That was a service dog.
Sure, yeah.
And for that, he fought and won.
Wow.
Luckily, he won,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And you know the cost of that?
No, I could only.
900,000, almost $1 million.
Wow, that's horrible.
He won in the long run.
But it cost him, yeah.
And he told me he would have, with the 900,000, he would have opened at least two more restaurants of the same size.
Which meant more jobs.
See,
right?
this is exactly how California gets killed. On one hand, you're talking about on the streets, we have the criminals. On the other, right, they cry wolves. They cry saying that we have no money, right? Why are you killing business that make money?
Right. They're shooting themselves in the foot, right? And when
Yeah,
you do
exactly.
That, you should be embracing the concept of making it easier for business to expand, to flourish, because in the end, the government's going to get the revenue.
Yeah.
They're going to get the new employee taxes.
They are.
All the other things.
They are hating themselves for running too slow, yet shooting their own food.
Yeah, I call it sometimes like a mental illness, that they can only see one side of it, but they don't see that the other side, it should be working independently to create some prosperity, and it's very annoying.
In the meantime, Texas is waving hands.
Right.
Right. Say,
We'll
hey
gladly
guys.
take you.
Say, guys, come over.
Right.
All right. I will not regulate you. I will not tax you that much, and I'll give you an environment that probably you want to survive.
Yeah.
And lots of people, lots of business just leave California.
Right. Because they don't have to put up with it. They can't.
So it is SoCal that business are leaving California.
Right.
So that's a tragedy.
It is.
Don't you think so?
Absolutely.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
Right. My lovely audience, my dear friends, today with my good friend, Joe Gardner, a brother I respect a lot, Santa Monica PD officer, a veteran for 27 glorious years, and now he is doing president of Meals on Wheels of San Gabriel Valley. We're talking about the society we're in. We're surrounded by bad laws. On one hand, the bad laws early release the prisoners, some of which are serious felons, including rapists, murderers, robbers, stuff like that. And on the other, you have, the reason of doing the early release was the cry of no money. Right. And on the other, they are making laws of killing business that make money, that make the revenue. So the math doesn't work.
It doesn't.
The equation is kind of wrong, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, my dear audience, let's take a very short moment now. When we come back, we'll continue finding out where are those bad laws. And by the way, we want you to join us in the voicing out. We have to say something. It is high time we did something. Stay with us. Hello, my lovely friends, audience, dear audience. Welcome back to the discussion about our California, our Southern Cal. No, not Southern California, SoCal. It is California that our business get killed, that prisoners are on the street, that money gets squandered. Okay, talking about the fact that we are, as community, as taxpayers, surrounded by bad laws. We are pushed from all directions to until we got nowhere to go. So we have to voice out. We have to say something. It is high time we did something. With my friend Joe Gardner, a former Santa Monica PD officer for 27 glorious years, I pay him a lot of respect because he has a beautiful set of mind. He never stops servicing people. Even now, he's the president of Meals on Wheels of San Gabriel Valley that puts meals onto cars to deliver to needy families for free. Needy families mean those elderly people, disabled people, or bed confined due to some illness or whatsoever, or financially confined, a shortage of money, something, all right, those people, or even people having some kind of a chronic disease or stuff like that. Okay, now, putting together, I recommend this kind of set of mind go to legislature of California so that we change the law culture. The law culture is wrong. On one hand, you are crying, say, we have no money, so that we early release the prisoners. And then on the other, you make laws that kills the business, such as Mr. Tom Menzel, such as Mr. David Houston, right?
Yeah.
Those are living examples, right? So you're kind of like shooting yourself in your own foot because you hate yourself walking too slow.
And there are many thousands just like your two friends.
All right, good.
Going through the same
Let
thing.
me ask you a question, one question. Now we're talking about California budget, all right? It looks like we have a hope because we have reduced those prisoners out on the street. The jails no longer have that many pressure, that big pressure. So do we see that reflected in the budget setting?
Well, the local jails have a lot of pressure. They're still overcrowded. But the state prison system doesn't have as many prisoners anymore because they've been shuttling them down to the local communities.
Okay.
And
That's
so,
why I'm saying my guess is that they do not need that lot of money.
right, exactly. You would think the money with the money that they got every year would be less now. No, the budget stays the same. So if you look at the budget, it hasn't changed. It's the same amount of money, but yet they have less prisoners. So how did that work? I thought you were trying to save money, you know, Mr. Governor Brown. What happened there?
The math doesn't work. The math doesn't work. You have prisoners released on the street already, and you're still spending that much money. Much money doesn't make sense at all.
It doesn't. No. And you could find that probably throughout the budget. You could look at many different areas and find out that the money, you know, they're still receiving the same money, although they say maybe they're saving money, you know, by doing some piece of legislation.
No. I checked last time I checked, we have almost no reserve.
No, we don't.
Right, and look in the meantime. Look at our roads, look at our bridges, right? Look at our highway system.
Right.
Yeah, and we are to a point that anything happens, for example, like earthquake, catastrophe, the flyovers will collapse because this is out of repair for too long.
Yeah.
You can't stand that.
Yeah.
We're talking about a devastating situation already. Right? So if I ask you, if I urge you, if I motivate a bunch of people to knock on your door, say, Joe, come out, please. Will you consider?
Yes, I would.
I encourage you to keep running for an office, like where you stopped, pick up right there.
Yeah, it's a real challenge to run for office.
I'm not doing it for politics. I know that you're not
exactly.
doing it for politics.
I wouldn't do it for politics either. I would do
No.
it because I want to serve the community, and if there's a real need.
No.
So,
But in the right way.
sure, of course.
They say the word serve too.
Yes. they do.
Everybody, including Governor Brown, says a big word serve.
Oftentimes they serve themselves, though.
All right. And you heard the salary increase?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you haven't heard of that?
No, I've heard of it. Yeah.
You heard of it, right?
Yeah.
That's a 7% increase or 3% or
Right.
whatever
Right.
increase. And they're making Governor Brown is making 107,000 something.
Yet we have no money.
Yet we have no money.
Right.
And the legislators, they are making 103,000 or something.
Wow.
That each of them reflects an increase of 3 to 7%.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right.
That's crazy.
And how about taxpayer? Give a taxpayer a little token of increase of something. Oh yeah, they will increase tax.
The gas tax.
The increase tax,
Yeah,
right?
the new gas tax is a
Talking
good
about
example.
the gas taxes, the car taxes,
20 cents on every gallon of
and
gas.
talking about the recall
Yeah.
in Orange County,
Right.
right? And there's a fight there, right? There's a fight there. Join the fight. There, well, like we just now pointed out, you and I, there are only two voices.
Yeah.
We need to be joined by the hundreds of thousands of people.
And I
We
don't
want to.
you call to your audience, and I do the same. You're out there sitting there, and you're wondering, what can I do? And I think it's more important that you become aware of the issues and you get out there and vote. Jack has been a person that's really talked about that very much, and it's crucial that we get involved.
Stop the bad laws.
Right.
Stop the bad laws, all right?
Absolutely.
And every time when they put up a measure saying that we want money, right? We gave money, even including last time, right? The most recent time, we proved it.
Yeah.
We gave the money, and there is no record. There is no record of them keeping the money straight.
Yeah.
And it goes into black box, and next time you check, dispersed.
It gets diverted somewhere else.
Get diverted
That it
somewhere
never
else.
was intended for. Someplace where it was never supposed to go.
The money's supposed to be earmarked,
Yeah.
right?
For this
And
particular thing.
for the particular thing, and now it's gone.
Yeah.
And they're still doing the same thing. We're still giving them money. They're still asking for money. It's money, 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 always ever since. And seldom we see a change.
Well, as you, the voter, should say,
You see
where's the money?
Hey, you see the potholes, right?
Right.
You see the broken bridges. You
Right.
see the broken highway
Where's
system.
the money?
Where's the money? Where did the money go?
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't make sense, and math doesn't work.
Yeah.
Math was not right. Is not right, and the logic is wrong. Totally wrong.
Absolutely.
What if my audience want to join me in the call to legislators? What do you recommend them to do?
You could always call your assembly member because they're supposed to be they're your servant and they're supposed to respond to you. So
All right.
you can find your rep is a good one .org where you can put in your zip code and it tells you who your representative is. So I would urge you to get involved in looking at the issues and calling them if you think there's something that isn't appropriate or we can't afford, and there are many of those things. Call your representative and tell them, that you don't want them to vote for this.
And also, I would want to make a call to change the election culture. Every time when there comes an election, they're always picking up the guy with a bigger mouth, with a smaller face, more smiley face, with more money.
Yeah.
That's it. And the thing is that you really have to go inside of every person and just give an assessment about what kind of bills this guy will create. Right. I admire, till this day, that legislator who I don't want to know created the law of the third bathroom. That's
right.
quite a creativity, right? That's hell of a almost Einstein IQ thing. Now that they can't do that much, why can't they be sober-minded to think about a jail system, think about a freeway system, think about a Tom Manzo system, right? All right. Today we're talking about bad laws. The title of the show today is Socal That. Please, I leave that as homework to my audiences. And up to you, write to me in emails or a text message. Tell me your examples of Socal That. How about that?
Very good.
Right? With me is my good friend, Joe Gardner. I owe him an appreciation highly. And thank you very much, my dear friends. We'll see you next time.